Okay, music fans, let's talk a little bit right now about one of the most important and overlooked vocalists of the 1970s, Brad Delp. Many people are familiar with the band Boston, of course, and a lot of people realize that the mastermind behind their distinctive sound is Tom Scholz. However, equally important to the sound of Boston is the soaring, inspired, and deeply romantic vocals by Brad Delp. Evidence of this is the fact that nobody is aware of the majority of albums and songs released by Boston. They're only aware of the first two and potentially three albums made by the band, all of which feature Delp prominently. Without Brad Delp, there would be no Boston. There would be a band centered around Tom Scholz that was a showcase for his electronic engineering wizardry and his visionary production skills. When you really break it down, Boston isn't a very complicated band. Their songs aren't challenging from a musical perspective. They're straight ahead rock songs. What makes the band distinctive is the cosmic sound that was created through Tom Scholz's electronic innovations as well as Brad Delp's vocals. And that's what I want to focus on in this video. Brad Delp is not only a talented vocalist and an inspired vocalist, but he is a competent performer and musician. What I mean by that is his vocals don't get in the way of a song. They carry a song. They stay true to the spirit of a song. And in almost every case that I can think of, they raise the song to a higher level. This is what a vocalist is supposed to do, particularly when they're in a band and not functioning in a solo capacity. But the drawback for this is that in service of a song and in service of the band, it's often the case that a singer will fade a bit out of the limelight. Delp didn't have charisma in the way that a singer like Mick Jagger or Robert Plant or Roger Daltrey, but he was musical to a degree that none of those performers are. Jagger and Plant are incredible rock icons, but they lack Delp's subtleties and melodic capacities. In fact, Delp is one of the most capable creative improvisers in all of 1970s rock music. I know that sounds like a strange statement because he never attained the kind of stature that other singers had. But if you want to look at this point of view in another way, think about it like this. Delp could have sang in just about any band that you name from the 1970s. He would have been more than adequate as a singer for Led Zeppelin. He would have been more than adequate as a singer for a band like Rush, or even a band like Aerosmith. The fact is, Delp was the consummate frontman from a purely vocal point of view. He had a pop sense of melody, but a rock sense of passion, and one can just feel all of his soul going into every note that he sings. And while there aren't a lot of live clips available for Boston in their heyday, the few that are available show that he was more than competent in a live setting. Let's talk about some of the drawbacks that might have kept Delp from attaining the stature I think he deserved. First is, as I mentioned, he's not a charismatic individual. He doesn't have a memorable face or a memorable hairstyle. He didn't dress in outrageous stage costumes. He didn't cause controversy outside of the band in a very public manner by, say, biting the heads off of a bat or throwing televisions out a window. He didn't wear platform shoes. He didn't have a wild sense of exaggerated self-importance. He was just a consummate performer. He was dedicated to the music, and I think that the feeling that he has toward the music is what makes him such a great vocalist. And that's something that many professionals, many legendary scale performers start to lose as their popularity increases. What I mean is they start to forget about their passion for music and focus on their professionalism and their fame and their money, of course. But Delp seemed to fuel himself basically on passion, and this is something that he shared with Schultz. When you listen to the first two Boston albums, you can feel the outrageous sense of joy that both of them had in just being immersed in the music. Record contracts and money and fame and fans aside, you can feel the joy that they had for making the music together. Unfortunately, as we all know, this joy didn't translate into the interpersonal dynamics with the band or into the business dealings, which is often the case. One of the other problems I think that might be for Delp is that he has a voice that's in a higher register than many other popular vocalists. He seems to be just skirting the edge of shrill sometimes, and when he's not verging on shrill, his voice tends to be a bit laid back, sinks into the track, allows the music to flourish, and is not dominant over it. He's not a screamer, he's not a howler. Although he can scream and howl for emphasis, musical emphasis, he's not by nature a screamer or a howler. One of the other, and probably the most important reasons why Delp becomes overlooked in Boston is because just the simple lack of material. They didn't put out very many albums. They didn't have very many songs. They had enough to make them well known on the radio and cement their stature as icons of classic rock. But so far as having a body of work that features the vocals or the lyrics as the starting and strongest point of the song, Boston is a bit sparse. Instead, what they have is album-oriented music that is focused on Schultz's studio techniques and on the ability to create music that would draw listeners from a variety of backgrounds. In other words, Schultz had a gift for translating basic rock riffs into poppy tunes that everybody could like. But part of his secret was Brad Delp. Now, the last and most obvious reason why Delp would be overlooked is clearly Tom Schultz himself. Schultz not only made a point publicly of insisting on being known as the brainchild of Boston, but he has consistently and very vocally suggested that the other members of the band were either forced upon him or didn't really contribute much at all. In fact, if you listen to Schultz talk, he would basically say the first two Boston albums are solo efforts with minimal contributions from other musicians that the record company insisted that he put into the band and that he also needed to have in order to perform live. This can't be the case in regard to the vocals because Tom Schultz doesn't sing. So his intimation that the first two albums are solo efforts is an overreach. As far as I know, Schultz didn't write the vocal melodies for every single song on the first two Boston albums. And I'm pretty sure Delp had a hand in that. Without those vocal melodies, the songs are inspired instrumentals and they have a lot of cosmic sounds. They're kind of Hendrixy with a polish on it. But with Delp, they suddenly become something altogether more accessible, more memorable, more real, more solid, and more complete. And I think Delp could have brought this polish to any band that he was in. And for this reason, I think that he is the most overlooked and underrated vocalist of the 1970s. What do you think? Do you have an opinion on this? If you have an idea about this or any other subject related to classic or contemporary music, please leave a comment in the video and like and subscribe. Thank you very much.